administrator at Wow, totally worked. It's amazing. So you do have to use uppercase letters for your realm. Kerberos is picky like that, so if we do a K list, we see we've been granted a Kerberos ticket granting ticket. It's basically just a token that allows us to authenticate. And we see when it expires, when it's going to be renewed, I guess. Cool. Alright, so let's see, what else do we want to try? Let's try to log in SMB client dash L localhost. Guess we can do dc1.shaver.net. Cool. So we're seeing the types of shares that are shared off of this folder. Net logon, sysvol, and IPC dollar, which is service, inter-process communication, I don't know what IPC is. It's a good question. All right. We're going to do one more thing. SMB client, localhost, net logon. So this is actually the thing that tests whether we can authenticate against a share. Let's use the actual cool. All right. So at this point, so if we do a net stat, we see we've got Kerberos listening, we've got LDAP AS, which is kind of interesting. Maybe I'll do a video on how to configure LDAP AS on this thing. That'd be beautiful. Get me an open SSL thing set up. That'd be awesome. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna bring in a little Windows 8 box that I've got configured over here. And this thing's running a little sluggish. You know, because it's Windows and I'm running a couple of VMs and recording video. So I haven't set my DHCP server up to tell everything on my network to use my Samba machine for DNS because, well, it's a VM and I may shut it off. So if I was going to properly set this up in a production network or even a semi more official network, I would probably configure DHCP to tell everybody to talk to my Samba domain controller. But since I'm just doing this for a demo, I'm just going to tell my client to look for 192.168.0.200, which is my Samba domain controller. The reason that you need to configure DNS so that the client, so this client I'm going to join to the domain, okay? Reason it's important to point out the DNS is that it uses DNS to join into the domain, and if it can't talk to the DNS of the Samba server or the DC, how's it going to do that? So, alright, so let's just make sure that DNS is working from our command from our client. Alright, so NS lookup returns DC1 as being 0 to 200. If we do an NS lookup on the actual Google, not the fake one, we see that our Samba server 0.200 returns all of these results. So DNS is not only working to the domain controller, it's also working to the public internet, which is good. So now we're going to actually join this domain, or join the domain I've created. So right now it's just a member of a work group. It's called Test8. Fairly unimaginative, I know. And my domain is nameshaper.net. I only have a domain administrator at this point, so oh my goodness, I totally have to reboot before my domain membership is complete. Alright. Everybody's happy, having fun. Alright, so I'm not going to log in as my local user. I'm actually going to log in as my domain admin. And because Windows is stupid, it assumes that administrator means it's a local user. So I've logged in as a domain administrator of a domain. It's still going to run me through the tutorial of how to use Windows 8. Isn't that nice of Microsoft? Yes, let's start. That is a good idea. Alright, so as you can see, this is just an evaluation box. I could blow it away at any time. I'm not really tied to it, so um, so let's what do we want to do first? Let's open our control panel. So I've already installed, I believe, RSAT on this box. I hope. So I have access to all of the other stuff. Hopefully you know how to install RSAT. I'm not going to cover it in this video. But we see, even though it's an Active Directory domain, if I open AD users and computers, I see, this is the Windows machine I'm on right now. That's my domain controller. I see my domain administrator. You see all the regular accounts and groups that you see in a regular Active Directory domain. See a whole bunch of built-in groups. I can add OUs to this to my heart's content. I don't think DHCP works because I don't have DHCP installed on anything, but if I think DNS works, dc1@shaver.net. You see I actually have, so remember we looked at those SRV records earlier? That's them right there. So you can even look at, manage your DNS through the DNS manager. Sites and services also works. Although you could only have one Active Directory site, I think, in Samba currently. It doesn't do multiple sites, and you can't do multiple domains. So I couldn't have like domain1.shaver.net as a domain. The Active Directory Administrative Center does not work yet because that requires I don't know if they're planning to support it or not, but that uses Active Directory Web Services, which I don't even know how you would tie that into Samba. I guess they'd have to run a web server and have it replicate the protocols. So haven't really looked at DFS management. Let's see, what else do we have in here? There's, if I open the services.msc, we see that there are a few services running on RDC, which is hilarious to be able to, I've never tried restarting these. I'm sure it's a terrible idea. I also see that there's a remote registry. That's interesting. Wow. So this is the registry.